Thank you, Ms. Butler. Second question, please.
Yes, this is directed at both candidates. I just wanted to start out by saying it's kind of shocking that Prosecutor Mason had listed many accomplishments but failed to identify that there are 200 federal agents who came in because of public corruption and ongoing criminal activity. And the fact that they did not even feel safe, that their operation will not be compromised by alerting local officials, indicates that there is a grapevine which has blurred the lines between county, federal, local officials. It also raises the issue, which, as prosecutor, there's an inherent conflict. Dean Mearns, you identified they serve two interests. There's a third interest, which actually, two more. You defend the county and county officials. That's an inherent conflict against victims' rights who depend on you. My question is, how can you justify defending knowing criminal activity by public officials? Where do victims go to report criminal activity? And are either of you willing to assign a special prosecutor or a program for that purpose?
Ms. Butler, you have 1 minute, and then Mr. Mason, 1 minute to respond.
I plan to establish a community advisory board and a mechanism for information to be received from the community on a regular basis that has to do with criminal activity, that also has to do with dissatisfaction, with witness problems, with community problems. And that is going to be an ongoing board that is going to have a diverse representation.
No, please, Mr. Mason's opportunity to respond. Thank you. Were you done, Ms. Butler?
I was.
Okay,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Mason.
Dean.
We do have a community advisory board currently. It's called the grand jury, and we present all those things to a grand jury when it's brought to our attention. Let me just say that in my 10 years as the county prosecutor, I've had convictions for over 140 public officials for their corruption in office. They include policemen, firemen, teachers, employees of the government, etc. We've had them before us all throughout my career here. Sometimes the feds, when they're doing an investigation, include the locals in what they're doing. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes the county prosecutor includes the feds in what they're doing. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we work together and on a different matter and come to a resolution. The fact of the matter is that my responsibilities with respect to the elected officials, my legal responsibility is by statute. I represent them in a civil matter as their lawyers, as elected officials. There's an inherent legal conflict of interest for me to represent them or to be tied into any criminal investigation on them. The feds know that.
No, thank you. We're going to take the next question over here. Thank you very much.
On April 29, 2003, Mr. Mason, you were quoted as stating, "You know, if they're going to, employees or law enforcement agents are going to be involved in corrupt activity, I'm going to come at them hard and throw everything at them I can." My question to you is, why did you ignore a criminal complaint of police misconduct that I begged you to address? In my letter, my attorney wrote you 5 letters asking you to address the criminal actions of the police, which was substantiated with sworn affidavits and sworn deposition testimony, which has now led to a referral to the state Ohio Attorney General's office. Prosecutors, it's been assigned a prosecutor.
I'm assuming you're Ms. Fort?
Saloka. My name is Jane Saloka.
Okay, I'm not familiar with the case you're talking about, but
A Cuyahoga County Sheriff Detective, and I have been trying to get this complaint addressed, and it finally has been referred through Ohio Revised Code. I couldn't refer it myself by the U.S. Attorney's Office, and it's been assigned a prosecutor. And I just
Okay, thank you for your question, Mr. Mason.
I'm not familiar with the case. I'm not sure what she refers to.
Ms. Butler?
May I just say this, that the U.S. Attorney's Office seems to be handling a lot of cases that ought to belong in the County Prosecutor's Office, and that office only has 94 attorneys to handle the entire Northern District of Ohio, and here we have 200 to handle the cases in Cuyahoga County. That concerns me greatly, and I'm so sorry, whoever you are, about your situation, but you have to get justice wherever you can find it these days.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi,
Please.
my question is for Ms. Butler. I know you have a very distinguished civil career, but with your limited background in criminal cases, my concern as a voter is you're coming into, I think, the largest prosecutor's office between New York and Chicago. How would you quell the concerns of a voter like me or other voters about your limited criminal experience?
First of all, I have to say that I respect the fact that you're smart enough to know that a person really should have a broader background in certain areas. But frankly, when you have 200 attorneys who are trained as criminal attorneys, and you have the kind of management experience and trial experience and appellate experience that I have, I really think that my learning curve is going to be really short. I also teach criminal law, have done so for the last 3 years. So I think I'm going to be able to catch up a little bit faster than the ordinary person. Thanks for asking.
Mr. Mason, any comment?
Well, I think that experience in this office matters. It matters a lot. I mean, how do you make a determination on whether to seek the death penalty on a case, and those are the ultimate issues we've got to deal with on a daily basis. How do you make those decisions if you've never done it before? How do you make the decision on whether to plea a case when you've never done it before?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Mary Ostendorf. Many years ago, I sat on the Rape Crisis Center, and we needed a 501c3, and none of us even knew what that was. And Annette Butler volunteered to write our, and I want to thank you for that, because that got an organization going, that's still serving. The question I have for both of you is the crack cocaine, the addiction issue. I'm a nurse, and the addiction issue is just destroying families and communities. What plans do each of you have for rooting it out at its cause? The people that are bringing these substances in and loading down, I don't know how they do it, but is there any any plan that you have for resolving the distribution problem? Thank you.
Mr. Mason, 1 minute, and then Ms. Butler, 1 minute.
Well, this drug addiction problem with this country has been existing throughout time. And law enforcement has been doing their very best to root it out for hundreds of years, if not just 100 years. We continue to do it. We have created task force with state, local law enforcement agencies to tackle it on that level. You've got the federal government who's tackling it at their level. We've got it at the local level where police officers like Mr. Kokab here fights it on a daily basis. It's just one of those problems that really has taken over our community, unfortunately. I think we've got to cure the people from wanting the drugs. Drug treatment is a viable answer for this. We need to have the funding available to give people drug treatment so that they don't desire to have the drugs. If they don't desire it, there's no reason to bring it here for them.
Ms. Butler?
I think that I thank you so much for remembering, by the way. I completely forgotten that. I think that one of the ways that you have to make sure that this is managed is, as the prosecutor says, you've got to make sure that there's drug treatment available for everybody on an equal basis, and not on an unequal basis like you read about in the newspaper yesterday and today. Everybody who has a problem that way should be taken care of and should have an opportunity for intervention and shouldn't be stuck with felonies, because if you're stuck with the felony, you're not going to find a job. And if you can't find a job, you're going to be stuck with the felony, and you're going to have no job, and you're going to just go back to the drugs. So I do think that we need to do more intervention on an equal and fair basis for everybody who qualifies.
Hi, I'm good. Directed to Prosecutor Mason. Bill, you mentioned you work with the Great Lakes Energy Development Task Force and that you're doing it for jobs. As I understand your earlier remarks, that's not part of your statutory duties. Can you explain a little bit about why you're taking leadership in that area?
Well, it's simple. It is all about jobs. I mean, first and foremost, obviously, we have an energy crisis. We're dependent on foreign sources for our energy. We need to curb that. Wind power is free. It's out here in the lake. We all know that it's available here in Cleveland. And we are trying to take advantage of putting wind turbines out on the lake to develop energy. I think, and I believe, and many of the people in the task force believe, that there are a tremendous amount of jobs tied to this. The Department of Energy has looked at Ohio and said Ohio's got the second most potential in the country for job creation along this industry.